Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the ancient highways of a totally lost world. We're looking at the sprawling, essentially underground trade network of the Indus Valley Civilization. Let's figure out exactly how one of the world's very first economic powerhouses managed a commercial empire that was frankly way ahead of its time.
4,000. I want you to just hook that number into your mind for a second. 4,000 years ago. Way before planes, trains, or, massive container ships, an incredibly vast trade empire was just thriving. We're talking about real merchants moving heavy goods across thousands of kilometers of absolutely punishing terrain. Honestly, it's kind of hard to wrap our modern minds around just how ambitious this whole operation was.
And, well, that brings us to the central detective mystery of this whole explainer. See, we know this massive commercial network existed. We've got the artifacts, right? But the actual physical ports, the sprawling warehouses that had to have supported it all, they're mysteriously missing. It's like, how does the physical infrastructure of an entire economic superpower just vanish into thin air?
Section 1. A Forgotten Trade Empire, the Scale of Ancient Commerce.
So to really understand this mystery, we first need to understand the beast itself. The Indus Valley Civilization wasn't just a handful of scattered cities. No, it was an absolute behemoth. We're talking about an area larger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia combined. Managing a civilization of that massive size required way more than just basic farming. It demanded a rigorously structured trade network. You can actually trace the rise of this system starting around 2600 BCE. Fast forward to 2250 BCE and they hit their absolute peak of urbanization and commerce. That's when their economy was just firing on all cylinders. Now, around 1900 BCE, we do see a decline. But man, during that golden window, this Bronze Age superpower managed an economy that was literally revolutionary.
And a highly structured internal economy is what really fueled this empire. On one hand, you had massive raw agricultural output, basically rivers of grain steadily supplied by the farmers. And on the other hand, there was this highly sophisticated manufacturing sector churning out beads, pottery, beautiful textiles, and metal tools. Merchants were constantly moving these products back and forth between cities and far-off regions, building a bustling, deeply interconnected internal economy.
Now, we aren't just guessing that they traded. The proof is literally right there in the artifacts. Archaeologists have dug up standardized weights across hundreds of different Indus settlements. Hundreds! They were using the exact same commercial measurements everywhere. So the big takeaway here? This trade wasn't some random, chaotic bazaar. It was meticulously managed and deeply, deeply integrated into the daily life of everyday citizens.
Section 2. Highways of the Indus moving the goods.
Okay, so how exactly did they move mountains of grain, fragile textiles, and heavy metals across a civilization bigger than Egypt and Mesopotamia combined, especially without modern vehicles? Well, they masterfully used their environment. The mighty Indus River served as a massive, natural highway. It let goods flow smoothly between the major urban centers. But when the water ran out, they didn't just stop. They launched these massive overland caravans. They crossed scorching deserts, navigated pretty dangerous plains, and connected their booming cities directly to incredibly distant resource-rich regions.
Section 3. Bronze Age Globalization, the Mesopotamian Connection.
Because, get this, they didn't just trade among themselves. The Indus civilization reached out way beyond its own borders, linking up with the other major world powers of the era. Take the word Meluha. This is a huge clue. In ancient Mesopotamian records, scribes kept writing about this distant, incredibly wealthy land called Meluha. Today, scholars widely believe this was the Mesopotamian name for the Indus region. We even have Mesopotamian clay tablets that explicitly record sustained commercial trade with this faraway empire.
And yeah, they kept the receipts. Mesopotamian texts specifically list imports of carnelian beads, ivory, timber, and all sorts of exotic materials. We've even found actual Indus seals sitting right there in the ruins of Mesopotamian cities. This definitely wasn't just some one-off meeting between a couple of explorers. This proves that a massive, sustained maritime trade link existed between two entirely distinct worlds.
I absolutely love this quote. This was globalization in the Bronze Age. Just think about that for a second. Close your eyes and imagine wooden ships, completely loaded down with ivory and carnelian, successfully navigating the Persian Gulf more than 4,000 years ago to connect completely different cultures. The sheer scale and the raw ambition of this ancient reality is just awe-inspiring.
Section 4. The missing infrastructure. Where are the ports and warehouses?
But wait, if they were really pulling off Bronze Age globalization, crossing the seas and navigating these massive land networks, Where is the physical evidence of the logistics? Where exactly did they park the ships, and where did they store all these goods? Now, to be fair, we aren't totally empty-handed. We do have sites like Lothal, which show us these beautiful, highly sophisticated dock facilities. That definitely proves their maritime capabilities. But Lothal is kind of an exception. Archaeologists believe that the vast majority of these vital harbors and the massive logistics hubs that supported them are simply gone, completely undiscovered.
So who's the culprit? Well, it's the environment. Over 4 millennia, nature has basically redrawn the entire map. Rivers violently shifted their courses, sea levels fluctuated dramatically over the centuries, and relentless pounding storms completely altered the coastal landscapes. You see, these ancient ports weren't necessarily burned down by invading armies, they were just buried under thousands of years of sediment, or literally swallowed whole by the sea.
And it's not just the coastal ports, right? Where are the missing warehouses? If you're collecting, storing, and distributing goods on a continental scale, you absolutely need logistics hubs. We found some large storage structures, sure, but researchers are convinced there are massive commercial centers, ancient distribution hubs, still hiding out there. They're likely buried right beneath unexcavated areas of modern major cities.
Section 5. Unearthing the Future, the Modern Hunt.
Today, modern archaeologists are stepping in like high-tech detectives. They're trying to solve a 4,000-year-old cold case and pull these lost logistics hubs out from under the earth. But the scale of their search area is honestly daunting. We're talking about 1 million square kilometers. That is an unimaginably large haystack. And while thousands of sites have been identified, so many of them remain only partially explored. There's simply way too much ground to cover with just a trowel and traditional digging.
So to level the playing field, researchers are deploying a seriously modern arsenal. Satellite imagery from space is helping us spot ancient dried-up river channels and long-forgotten trade routes. Down on the surface, ground-penetrating radar is essentially giving us X-ray vision to detect hidden structures buried deep beneath the soil. In geographic information systems, they're allowing us to virtually reconstruct these completely lost landscapes. We are literally turning back the clock.
And the payoff for this high-tech hunt could be massive. Finding just one pristine, buried port or warehouse could uncover maritime technologies we never even knew they had. It could reveal trade goods from even more distant, completely unknown lands, and it could finally unlock those missing clues about how one of the world's earliest economic systems actually organized its merchants and its transactions. Truly, every new ping on the radar is a potential revolution in history.
Which leaves us with this final, incredibly thrilling thought. What ancient highways of a lost world are still waiting to be discovered beneath the earth today? Somewhere, right now, buried beneath the sands of Pakistan or the fields of India, entire chapters of economic history are just lying in the dark, waiting to be brought into the light. The story of the Indus civilization is far from over. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep your eyes open and never, ever stop questioning what lies beneath the surface.